Dr. Cynthia Rapaido is a distinguished educator with over 30 years of experience in K-12 and higher education, with an EDD and an MA from the University of San Francisco and a BS from San Diego State. She's excelled as a principal, assistant principal, and teacher. Now a leadership coach and mentor at institutions like UC Berkeley, she's been honored as one of the 100 most influential Filipino women in the U.S. and has received multiple awards. In 2024, she published her first book on school leadership, reinforcing her commitment to academic excellence and inclusivity. You know, I am so elated that you and I have an opportunity to talk about education, leadership, to talk about just our identities. I just want to say, for those of you who are just coming on, this is Dr. Cynthia Rapaido, and I am so elated that she is with us. She is coming from the beautiful state of California, and I'm elated to have her here. And Dr. Rapaido, would you mind just giving just a little insight as to what you're doing at this present moment in education?
Sure. So I am actually working with administrators and teachers. So I work with the teachers that are trying to clear the credential, and I am their field supervisor slash faculty member that's going out onto the field and giving them the grade to get the credential. And then I also work with administrators, mostly assistant principals. And actually, there's some principals that I'm coaching and mentoring. So some of them are trying to get their clear credential. So that one is definitely the coaching and the standards, meeting the standards. And then the mentoring is those that are in principalship positions that want additional support their first year, 2 years or so.
Well, you know, that's an important position that you have. I know what it's like when you're trying to be a mentor to someone. It's like when we're in the health field, we call it a preceptor, kind of making sure you understand what you're walking in. However, the mentor helps them throughout their process. And leadership is a very unique field in any industry. One thing that I have noticed, and you can correct me, Dr. Rapaido, is that regardless of whatever leadership job you're in, the similarities are there, such as knowing how to listen, knowing how to communicate, like the crucial conversations that you must have, understanding that person's, believe it or not, their wellness, whether or not they are adapting to the environment or not adapting to the environment. What are some of the things that, you know, you find just challenging for those who are just walking into leadership?
What I find challenging for them is having the guts to address certain things. Let's say there's a campus security guard that's on their phone and they should be patrolling the school, but they see them on the phone, knowing that that person has to address it and just being able to just say, it's okay, take a deep breath and address it. Otherwise, you're letting it go and allowing them to say it's okay. And if you're allowing it, no one else is going to address it. So just having that that expectation of what you want to see out of your faculty and staff, and then also supporting them. How do you best support them? And then even if they're working with somebody that has a stronger personality, how to address that, because now they're supposed to step into that leadership role where they were once a teacher.
You just hit something. That strong personality. Sometimes those strong personalities can be misinterpreted, though.
Right.
You know,
Right.
Yeah, and it's hard to try to balance it or try to help them understand that. I was reading something, and not putting anyone out there, but I was reading something where a person had a difficulty with addressing some people, whether they like them or not. But this part of professionalism is a part of who we are. We're supposed to be the example for our students, and that's a form of leadership. And one thing I say a lot is that teachers are leaders as well. It's not about the title, it's about how one acts and how one displays his or her acumen, their intellectuality. What do you think about that?
Oh, I think that's very true because as a student, we look at the teachers as the leader. They're the ones that are knowledgeable. They're the ones that are that can facilitate or create that environment. So yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly that teachers are leaders, especially with those that are in the classroom, but also even as colleagues, they
Ooh,
can shine as well.
yeah. We were having a mini discussion before we started, and you have a publication, and you have two charts that you did state that, and I'm gonna be honest with you, one of them has totally piqued my interest. The fruit leadership chart.
Sure. Yeah.
So that has me like, what? What's going on? Leadership. So you're gonna have to break it down for me, like, because if I, you know how we do it when we look at a stem, we break the stem down before, when we're doing testing, and we figure
Mhm.
out and we break down the question to understand what's actually transpiring. So
Mhm.
I'm breaking this baby down. I got the chart part. Understand
Okay.
leadership. I'm
Yes.
doing it backwards. Fruit.
Okay. You want me to explain it?
Yes, yes.
Okay, here we go. And I can even work it with you as well, as so because it becomes personal to you as opposed to just describing it.
Okay.
Um, so what I did was I like to analyze people and how to work with them because I know that I'm different, they're different. So how do we have this synthesis together? And so the fruit leadership chart is basically four fruits. And I'm just going to name them
Okay.
first. And then you tell me which one resonates with you. Then
Okay.
from there, I'm going to go into details about the fruit characteristics
Uh-uh.
of that leadership style. And then you can decide, okay, that's me or not me. And then I can tell you a little bit about those strengths and
Okay.
then the areas that you want to develop. And then people who are different from you in those fruits, um, how to best work with them by communicating, hey, I'm this and you're that. So let's make sure that we can jive together.
That's no problem. Okay. So those of you who are just coming in, we're going to have fun with this because I love to learn from my guests. And right now, Dr. Rapaido is going to work with me on this lead. Let's see how it goes. Let's go. Let's have fun.
All right, let's go. There's four fruits I'm going to talk about. I'm just going to list them first, and you tell me which one resonates with you. Really easy. An apple, pineapple, grapes, and oranges.
I love fruit, so that's kind of difficult.
Oh,
It is because I love fruit. I'm staying away from pineapple because of the acidity. Oranges are amazing. You know what? Let's go with the orange. Want me to tell you why?
why?
Because oranges are bright. I love things that are bright. I love the color orange. And oranges actually have an oil on the outside that's part of their protectiveness, but yet it can be turned into cleaning agents. There's so much that can be done with an orange. So let's go orange.
Hmm. Okay. Now, descriptions.
Okay.
I'll start with an orange,
Okay.
since you mentioned an orange. So, an orange description is when you're thinking of orange, it has many parts to it. You
Ooh.
have, like you say, the skin on the outside, the oil on the outside. You open it up. To get to the fruit, you have to open it up, and then you see it that there's um, the little fibers. Then there's a little skin, and then you open those little skins, and you see there's pulp. Those pulps have skin. They're all lined up and arrayed so beautifully and nice. So that characteristic of that leadership style is very detail oriented. They're focused on the details. They like to analyze things. They like to go from zooming out to zooming in. So in my book, the description is they're highly organized, highly structured. Um, of course, that's the fruit. They're complex, um, arrayed and arranged with fine details. And so the value is let me process, analyze, and organize the steps we need to take. That's the orange. Now, does that sound like you? I'm going to read some more.
Seed. There's growth.
Yeah. Okay.
Growth.
Now,
I said there's growth in a seed, you know?
Yeah.
And one thing I like it. So when they don't have the seed in it, I get a little perturbed by it because I'm like, I want the seed because the seed know that it's close to organic as it can be. It's not, GMO.
Oh,
So
yeah, yeah.
you got me. You got me. I'm very gentle. I look at the big picture going in, and that's how I did my discipline. I was like, okay, I'm gonna look at the big picture. Then I'm gonna go in. Then I go back out again.
Yes.
Go back in.
So
back. Yeah.
that's great. So that so now you talk about the zooming out. That is the pineapple. So when you think of a pineapple, it's kind of unique in its own way. It looks like a head with this big crown on its head. So there's lots of eyes on the outside. And so they tend to be, the characteristic is they're visionary. They like to think of options, the big ideas, and possibilities. Not so much zoomed in into the details, but they are more about, what visionary people. So
you notice I said I like it, but they're very acidic. So that's the only issue I have concerning it. Did you hear that? Remember I said that?
Yes, I do.
Pineapples, but I have to be very careful because they're acidic. But I do like pineapple because the pineapple skin. See, I'm telling you my wellness stuff. So we teach you. So the pineapple skin itself, you can cut it up and you can actually boil it and create a tea out of it so you can drink it and get all the good stuff from it.
Thank you for telling me that. Okay.
I'll give you all the good stuff.
That's great. Yeah. I can use the tea right now with my nasal going on, my cold.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Wash it off and have it.
Now, in terms of apples and grapes, which were two that were mentioned, but you don't have it as part of your characteristic that you identify most with. An apple, when you think of an apple, it's a pretty simple fruit, right? All you have to do is take it, wash it, bite into it, and go, and then you're done, right? Yeah. So the characteristics of that leadership is, let's go, let's do it, let's get to it. Take the initiative, take the action, execute, it's done. It might be messy, but the work gets done.
Okay.
And then the grape, what does a grape look like? They're all in a branch. Yes. They're all together. They all look alike. They're in clusters. Yes. So that is group consensus. They want group consensus. They want harmony. They want everybody to, their buy-in, their feelings. There's that connectedness. Yeah. So they want what's fair and what's just. So that's the grape. A little bit more empathetic because there's that connection. It's almost like saying twins or whatever. They just kind of connect more. And they want to be mindful of others and they want people to be mindful of them. Yeah. So fun. Isn't that fun? So when you think about it, so now if you say, so out of all of them, which one do you think resonates most with you?
I'm going to think, you know what? I went to a stylist and he's like, you are an inverted triangle and an apple. But I would say that I'm a dual because I do resonate with the pineapple as well as the orange. Being the orange is the stronger one, the pineapple is the one that I tend to go to when the orange doesn't work.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting.
Did you like it?
I like that. I like how you can zoom in and zoom out, and those characteristics, and then the other two, the apple and grape, they're kind of opposite of each other because one just goes, and then one's like, slow down. I need you to count me in. What about my feelings? And so when a person in leadership, it's good to be all of them. So like a fruit salad. So you develop those other fruit characteristics that are not your dominant one. So for you can continue to develop the apple and the orange. Apple and the grape.
Yeah, the grape, because you have to work with a team. And to be honest, it's kind of interesting that you said that, because even though orange is my base, pineapple is where I go when orange needs some additional assistance. And there are some times where I like to just be the apple, just get her done. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Just get it done. Don't worry about it. Just get it done. It will be taken care of because some things are not needed to be a group session or conglomerate people to take care of it.
It's like, I don't need to know your input.
Not today. We need to get
not today.
day. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. I like that. And it sounds like I believe I am a big proponent in working with teachers when they first walk into the door. You know,
Hmm.
so I created a little mini program for them because I wanted them to feel as though they could start talking to their own teammates and stuff. And it sounds like this chart, this fruit leadership chart, provides that assistance to them. And it helps them learn more about themselves, meaning the principals themselves and the assistant
Hmm.
principals. I know we're getting close to the end of the time, but can you just give us a brief on the multifaceted identity?
Oh, sure. So that multifaceted identity, we have many different facets about ourselves. So breaking it down, there's another chart in the book. It's basically you can go into dental topics like what are your hobbies, what are your interests, where have you traveled, what do you like to eat, um, and then it kind of breaks up a dialogue, and you can have a dialogue over that, and then you can talk about, okay, who am I as a person? I like. I'm Filipino. I'm Filipino American, and my dad was in the military, so I'm also a Navy brat. I have um, four sisters and one brother, so I am number four.
How are you?
Yeah, so when I started sharing a little bit more information about me, my upbringing, my education, I could talk about where I went to school, the different places I lived, the universities I attended. Then it becomes more that I can relate to. So if I were to ask you, oh, okay, Dr. Joe, so where did you go to school? Where have you traveled? We can have this fun dialogue together,
Excellent.
and break it down even more than just the food leadership. Now it's like, okay, now you know that I may be a grape and I'm also an orange. So then we can kind of get along with, okay, let's get down to the details. But at the same time, it's like, okay, but we also need to know that we got to get to work to be a little bit of the apple. And we also have to have the big picture. And then at the same time, okay, with the multifaceted identity part is, where are you from? What are your interests? What's your experience? What are your lived experiences?
That is really nice. I'm elated because you said, step up your school leadership game. That's the name of your book. And
Hmm.
it's fascinating that you're meeting the needs of the schools by enhancing. I like to be very careful about those terms. We're enhancing our leaders to become better people for themselves as well as for their communities. And I love that. And I love that you're doing that. You have just a way of just bringing people in. And I love that because with your charts and creating that type of dialogue is going to create that trust with the
Right.
teachers.
Absolutely. I mean, you can even have, I mean, I know some of the teachers took it and they even asked their students that were on teams for the journalism, like, how do you work best as a team? um, and the yearbook. I mean, things like that. Just being able, so the students were able to self-identify too. There's no harm, and it's kind of like, okay, you can be an apple if you want to be an apple. It doesn't matter. You can be any of them. You can be all of them. It's great to be. Don't pigeonhole yourself. Be all of them. That's the main thing. Is be all of them. If you can,
Yeah.
dive into the ones that you don't emphasize or that are not your dominant ones, and then become this fruit salad and blossoms to all of them.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And that's exactly what our world is like. We are a fruit salad. We can't, if we all were the same, we'd be in trouble. And
Right.
all right.
Right.
We all the same. We need a few apples, grapes, pineapples, and oranges in our lives.
Right.
To enjoy our life. And I would love to go deeper into it because I think that our school culture is based off of the principal, the leader. And I just did an episode on that. We tend to pick those who are going to meet your vision, your mission, and then look at the school holistically because you want to have not all oranges in your school. You want to have that apple, you want to have that grape, you want to have that pineapple in your school, especially if you're orange, in order to
Hmm.
blend everything together and to create a culture that is worth thriving for that community. I'm sorry,
Absolutely.
you're not just rolling with this.
I know. I'm loving it.
We're just rolling with this leadership because I think leadership is a lot of fun, and embracing and building a leader. It can be a lot of fun. And then those crucial conversations are
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
Where, like you stated, sometimes you got to break it down. You can't be so friendly when you talked about the security officer or if they saw them doing something we all have to be in this whole gamut together trying to make sure we're building each other up.
Right.
I really thank you so much. Before we go, though, I've got to ask you one thing. What is one thing that you would say needs to happen for social wellness for our leaders?
For social wellness. What do you mean by wellness? In terms of,
In terms of like how they're leaders, like so when they communicate, the way that they move throughout their building, how they communicate personally with them, how even with the sorry to say this, but when we talk about evaluations, you have to be cognizant of how that person is going to receive his or her evaluation. So socially, you have to and
mm,
you have to explain appropriately. And then social wellness is one thing that also involves taking time for self. You know,
right.
so do you believe that leaders need to have that social wellness to help build who they are?
Absolutely. I believe that, they have to be their authentic self for one thing, and know their areas of, strengths and areas that they need to develop. Um, if, again, if they're not able to be that strong leader, you don't have to be that strong, arrogant leader. You can just become, just know your boundaries, develop those boundaries, be aware of that, be cognizant of that. So that way they can be the leader that can inspire others. And at the same time, taking care of themselves, making sure that they're balancing their life
Mhm.
with things that they love to do. So they're not just becoming absorbed with just the work environment and workaholic and not being their authentic self also, whether they're, a wife, a mom, or any of that.
That's good. No, thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Everyone, we had the pleasure of just having a lot of fun. Hopefully, you guys can analyze yourselves as well in this process. But Dr. Cynthia Rapaido, she gave us a wealth of information in regards to leadership and our wellness and how understanding who we are can allow us to be a better leader. And I thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you too, Dr. Jewel. It's nice meeting you.